Hello my fellow gamers and welcome once again to Perafilozof City Skylines videos. I am going to continue playing the city in which I plan to reach 1 million population on the hard mode. The previous episode I have spent redoing the road network and the public transportation, as my subscribers have noticed, and so did I, that my public transportation just wasn't up to the task to get enough sims in between these parts of the city properly, nor was my traffic system proper for them to go through these streets. Now, I haven't let the city run enough for it to allow for the traffic to get used to the new streets and new highways. I have raised the highways up and the trains that go in between the highways, so down below you can see cross streets that are connecting the different parts of the city. This is simply necessary because teams do not stop to live just in one part of the city, for example, to work here, shop here, work maybe over here if not there, and live here. They can live here, shop here, go to a park here, and live over here. Or did I say already live? Anyway, I mean, they can do whatever they want in whichever part of the city they want, so you cannot expect them to just live in a single part of the city. You have to be aware that they want to do different things in different parts of the city. And if you have residential zones mixed with commercial industry like I do, as you can see here, you have to expect that some teams will take up jobs somewhere else, live somewhere else, shop somewhere else, and they won't live or work or shop at the same parts of the city. Because of that, I had to rework the entire road system. I have connected the old parts of the city with the new, also with these cross streets below the highways, the four highways that lead the traffic into the city and the highways that are on the edges of the city. Now there are very few sims on the highways themselves now, but you can see a lot of traffic in these cross streets. Some of them have higher traffic than others, and they are called red because of that. Now there isn't a lot of problems if a street has a lot of traffic, only if that traffic does not actually flow. So because these cross streets are usually and almost by a rule made where there is industry, the additional passage of traffic through them isn't going to increase much the noise pollution for the residential areas, because there are no cross streets in the residential areas. So the extra noise pollution from all the traffic should not bother my residents. Now the land value isn't the highest, and therefore I don't have that high building levels. For example, here you can see they're mostly level 3. Where there are green areas they might go up to level 4, but I pretty much do not have anybody at level 5 as far as I know. I can see here level 1 very few, level 2, is this level 2 or 3? I guess that's level 3, and then level 4, this a bit bigger area than the level 1s. But like I said, they are not very high level, because neither do I have a good land value, which I could increase with two different policies, so I could go up if I wanted to. But I did do a small test some time ago, just how much would the policies that are called Parks and Recreation, which increases decoration budget but also increases the land value, and the other one, which is high-tech housing, which also increases land value. They both cost upkeeps, and you're supposed to get more taxes from residential areas if they are living at a higher land value and increase the level of a building, but these things end up costing you more than you gain in the taxes when you level up the buildings with those using those policies. Now the leveled up buildings do tend to actually sometimes give more households. Now I'm not entirely sure, because it's kind of hard to see just how many of these zones do these buildings take up when they are built. I mean, I guess I could use two buildings of the same size. For example, these two look the same, so if they're the same level, this one is level 3, this one is level 3, and they both take up 16 people. But for example, these two, again, same thing, 21, because they take up more space. But what I would like to do is to find two buildings of different levels and compare them with another building that is the same type, but at a lower level to see are there more teams living inside these buildings if they are higher level. Now let's try and find a building that's gonna be lower level than these. So these are level 4, while these are over here level 3. Let's see one that is looks something like this, but at level 3. Now, considering that people usually say there is very few building types, for some reason I have a problem finding a building that's not the same. Well, now that I think of it, how would I find when they do change how they look when they level up? Right, so that isn't how I would be able to find that. Maybe by looking at the size. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, and probably 4 deep, or perhaps just 3 deep. So 3 by 3, I think, at level 4 gives us 18 households. So let's try find one at level 3. That is 3 by 3. 1, 2. Doesn't look like it takes 3. This one looks like it might be taking 3, and yeah, no, this part here perhaps means it's taking up more space. Let me try and find some other building. This one also takes 2. I guess this one would be 3 by 3, or would it? 1, 2. Well, there is a parking lot here. So how many households? 16 households. And how many was this one? 18. So that is something that I've been thinking, that when they level up they actually gain a few more households, because I think when I used to look at these things that you could only get like 26 or 27 households in a 4x4 building if it's up to level 5. So I believe that you can actually get extra population just by leveling them up. That is one of the extra things that I will have to think about as I plan to reach 1 million population, that I will need a very leveled up residential zone if I want to have more people living there. Now the trick is that since the offices and the commercial areas also require more workers as they level up, the balancing between the residential zones, the industry zones, and the commercial zones should keep to the same level as they level up. So if I am leveling up my residential zones, I should level up my industry and commercial zones as well, so that those new teams who move in would have somewhere to work at. So once I check this out, I will tell you what I can build up here. At the moment I still have unemployment, and my commercial and industry requirements are high, so I can continue building up commercial zones here. This could have been industry, and here as well. Actually no, I do not want them to build on this road, just onto this one. So this area would be high density commercial. After that, to fill the industry's need, I would place offices. And that should hopefully reduce the unemployment. Now there are a few more places where I could have more residential zones coming up. For example here, 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 also I think here. So nobody is still going to move in until there are more jobs for them to be had. It's kind of annoying that these areas are so ruined because of the roads that go through uneven ground, and then you can have zones big enough for 4x4 industry, but there really isn't much that can be done about this. It is interesting that, for example, if you do not have a crossroad, you can have 4x4 buildings, but as soon as you place a crossroad between another roads that are leading up to a hill, they will create these weird zones, and you won't be able to have 4x4 buildings on these streets. It's kind of interesting. I mean, I'm not sure why exactly is it happening like that. Why is it okay if you have a street going just in one direction, but as soon as you place another street in the cross direction, it ruins the zones. It would be nice if somebody could mod that you can place these squares for zones manually, so you could pick and choose which side they were oriented into. Now that this all is done, let's see how's the coverage by parks. I will definitely need new parks down here if I plan to expand here with more zones. How's my employment? Still 3%, but these buildings probably don't have all the workers yet. Yeah, they're still just building up, so that needs to be left alone. I should probably speed up the game. As I keep playing it will speed 1, and I'm doubtful how far can I reach in the population numbers if I keep playing on that speed. I still seem to have a lot of sims here, and I did not finish editing out the roads. I think I still need a few exits onto the highway. I did place that one here and that one here, but those are just two. I would like it if I could get another one, for example, perhaps here. Another ramp to lead the traffic out onto the highway. I guess this home will just have to be sacrificed to get another off-ramp, actually an on-ramp onto the highway leading out of the city. In this part of the city there aren't really big problems with the traffic, because I guess it's mostly low density. Now I'm not sure, do I have enough high density commercial buildings in here for the new areas of high density that I've made, because I had industry here calling out not enough workers, and yeah, the abandonment here probably is due to not enough workers. Just as I was afraid of. That was annoying. Let's get that straight back. As I was saying, the problem is that you cannot really see which areas of your city have a lot of unemployed people and which have a lot of employed. It would be nice if the developers were to add an overview that would tell you which parts of your city have a lot of employees and which parts do not, so that you can know where you can zone more industry or commercial and where you can zone more residential areas. So not enough workers. Alright, how about I add some low density here? I guess I could add a little bit more in here as well. While some of these areas will have to be switched from low density to high density if I want to get those new workers. I will try not to put too many at spaces close to each other in order to prevent too much traffic going on at the same spots. So let's say that that would be enough in these areas, and in this part I already have a lot. Yeah, like I was saying, for example, you see that I have unemployment at 3%, and these homes here have enough workers to send to this industry, but there aren't enough here. So even though I do have unemployment, I at the same time have buildings that have problems finding workers. So that is why it would be much easier if you could have an overview that would tell you in these homes live unemployed people and in these homes live employed, so that you know that you can add more sims living here. I mean, sure, they will drive a long way to go to a job, but that only ends up creating more traffic that you might not want to have in your city. So it would be easier if you could balance out parts of the city to make sure that they have enough workers. Worker education is low. Interesting. I do not have enough capacity for elementary schools nor for the high schools, but as previously said, I don't actually want to educate all of my sims because I do have a lot of industry. How do I show you that? It's probably best to go by export. I do have a lot of industry that's forestry over here in these areas, and also a lot of forestry industry here in these areas, so they only use uneducated workers. But you see, it's interesting, 16 workers here in this building, and they are all overeducated. You can see that 10 well-educated and 4 highly educated work in a building that requires only uneducated workers. While the building up here, that was that commercial building, says not enough educated workers. Well, because they're sitting here in the industry that does not even require them being at that high education. So that's also one of the things that's kind of hard to balance out. Now that I've seen this overview, it kind of gave me an idea. I mean, check out how many lumber mills that are exporting I have here. Well, these buildings, the forestry growths here that just grow these trees, they do not actually import or export. So if I want to reduce my export, what I could try is to bulldoze some of these lumber mills and try to get, instead of them, some more of these buildings, these, how do I even call them? Well, wood is wood. The buildings that just produce these raw goods that are trees. And I was thinking that how would I accomplish that is by adding more trees in the spaces that seem to be giving me the buildings that export and import, and that could be something that would help get me buildings that would be these that just produce trees instead of the ones that export and that take these trees from the raw products into exportable products. Of course, you see there were already a lot of trees here, yet the building itself was a production building, and that is something that I'm trying to avoid and have as many of these buildings that just produce these trees instead of the buildings that export. Now in this part, let's say it isn't that bad that I have these many, but look at this area. There is way too many here that are just exporting, and I would like to see what would happen if I bulldozed a lot of them and tried to get more of these that, how do I call them, have seedlings or whatever that you would call buildings that just have these trees and aren't exporting or importing goods. This would also reduce the traffic if I have fewer trucks exporting and importing. Let's see what is going to happen and which are going to grow here. Now you remember this part had a huge amount of these lumber mills. Now let's see if this time there are going to be fewer ones. Go up to speed 2. This one is a woody wood, this one is a woody wood, this is going to be wood products, so that one will export. And this one looks like it's going to be an export as well. So here's a building with trees. This is going to be exporting as well, this one not. Any more are going to go up. Well, I did reduce my industry demand now that I've bulldozed so many. How did they end up being here? I think more seedlings instead of these exporting buildings here. Yeah, I guess so. You can try and get more of these to just be the ones that are not going to export instead of the ones that are. It will help you with reducing the amount of traffic going through your city. What's up with this? That should be a full zone. Let's add a few more trees. And you should be aware also that there is actually a limit on how many trees you can have. So if you're playing with a mod for 25 tiles, you should take care that there might be a chance you ran out of trees at some point, so you will have to actually get rid of some of them in other areas to get more in your new areas. Let's try and get those buildings to grow up as the ones that want export. Up here I don't have as many as I had in this part here, so I'm not going to play around with those. Let's see, unemployment actually went up. What's this? Too few services? Really? Clinic? Death care? Fire department? Fire department? Police station? Buses? Oh, I kinda do not have a bus line down here. Alright, alright. Gonna get right on that. So place a station here and pull it down here. Again, Why do I have two lines colored the same way? I think one is the one that goes through the entire city. I should probably change its color to green. Yeah, much better now. Easier to differentiate. So no, I don't want the green, I want the blue. Alright, so now that I have placed these bus stops here, I should check if there's a metro stop here. There is one here, but I do not have one here, so I might as well get one. Let's see, where would it go? Space already occupied. Alright, let's tear this now. Now it can be built here. Connect to the existing network. And now I have to actually get stops for the metro to stop at this one. So the green and the blue should have a stop at this metro station. There we go. Now let's see if that's going to improve the land value for these buildings. These two ended up getting abandoned, but these now should level up as they will have better access to civil services. Let's see, are they going to level up? A good portion of these offices are already at level 2. Let's see what happens with these over here. I did add stops on almost all of the streets. I guess they may require some more time before they actually level up. However, down here, these commercial buildings go up in level very quickly. So do some of the offices. So we are okay with that. What's the unemployment? Now it's down to 3% again. Well, I doubt that I'm going to have any more demand for residential until I give them more jobs. For example, I could put some high density commercial here, perhaps here. I'm not sure about this area here, maybe offices. As for this area down here, what's going on here? I must have been a building here that I have moved around. Do I have some high density commercial here? I do have some, but I could use more. Alright, what do I have here? Because of the road it's empty. What's this again with the low value? No, again with the services. I think it's because I moved around so many bus lines that some of the buildings that used to have good access to those lines now have lost their land value in the turn of events that led to the new bus lines being created, and they haven't adjusted yet to the new situation. Now, one of my subscribers has linked me a mod for something called a line automatic color lining, automatic lines colors, but I haven't yet tested it out, so I haven't used it in this video. And when I find the time to test and see how that works out, I promise I will put it in a video. Alright, that's done. How's my power? I could do with some more power. I've already started turning on a lot of these, and if I see that I need to turn on even more, I will just make solar power plant instead of turning so many of these, because the solar power plant has a much better yield on power compared to how much it costs per week than turning on the equal amount of advanced wind turbines, because they give off 20 megawatts and you need 8 of them to give the same amount of power that you get from a solar power plant, but they would end up costing way more than the solar power plant in the weekly maintenance. So have these guys gone to their jobs yet? Yep. Are they going to level up? Not yet, it seems. I guess I could try and draw those bus lines down a bit more. So instead of ending up here. They could end up down here in these, but I don't have a cross street, so they would have to end up going down here to turn. So until I end up with a cross street, I won't draw more lines. How is the number of sims that are using my lines? Oh, so now I have 5,300 people using the metros. Much better numbers than before. But the buses are kind of down, 1,400. I guess the people who used to use buses now use the metro, and a lot more people use the metro than before. So I have definitely increased the total amount of people that are using my public transportation networks. Alright, I do need a new district here for the commercial and office sector. Let's get higher big business benefactor and tax rates for offices here. One more thing that I don't think that I've done is to stop using the recreational use of drugs in the areas where I had commercial and offices, where in some of my first episodes I had started getting crime waves, so I had turned this on. Now that I see that there are no problems with crime, I might as well turn this off and reduce the amount of money I'm paying for the police departments. So how is the traffic after this while? Do I have streets that have traffic stopped on them? This one kind of looks slow, but there is movement. Over here, good movement. Over here, good, good. Well, I would have to say that I'm happy with this. Even without the extra tweaking that I promised that I would have to... Oh, but this one isn't that good. This one isn't that good. Look at this line coming up from up there. I'm not sure, are they... Oh, because there are so few cross streets here, right. Well, I already do have so many, it seems, and not enough buildings to give them jobs, so I could tear down some of these for a cross street. And that should add another cross street to this area. That should help stop the traffic from trying to all go to this cross street, and they can use this one now. Yeah, this will reduce the amount of homes here, especially because I need to dezone this piece here that they do not build buildings straight on the road, and this one seems to have done just that. Nope, I don't want that. Because I don't like buildings having exits and entrances exactly on these streets, which are the streets where the traffic flows the most. I'm trying to keep away from that. So, did this help? Are they moving a bit better now? Still a lot of traffic going through here. So the rest of the streets, not that good of movement here. Did I just see despawning? Not entirely sure what I saw. This highway here is getting good usage, but no stoppages here on this very badly done ramp that takes the traffic in and out. Like I said, there isn't much traffic using that one. Most of the traffic uses this highway here, and some of it comes from here as well. Well, in order to reduce 7% unemployment, dear God, how do I even reduce that? Well, I guess I will need to make more buildings that are going to require workers. For example, let's say here we add some more generic industry, or maybe commercial buildings would be a better idea here. Say like this. The industry isn't gonna go up here, it can go up here. Is this a good area to have? I guess I could have more farms here. Over here I've used up almost all of the space. Guess I could have more generic industry here. And more farming here. That should help with filling the job. And these should be 4x4. And I am kind of hoping that I can level up these buildings further so that they will require more workers. For example, you will notice that my offices are mostly at level 2, and so are my commercial areas, which is kinda part of the problem of too many unemployed sims, because as the offices and the commercial buildings level up, they do require more workers, but for some reason I'm stuck at level 2 for most of my offices and commercial areas. I think the land value may be a key factor in pushing them up to level 3, as in the previous cities that I made, they were on normal mode, and normal mode lets you level up a bit easier than the hard mode, so it may be that I need to actually raise the land value to have them level up, which is something that I could test easily. At least I think I could test it easily. Let's find a good area with lots of coverage from services. Let's see, that would be an area here, and these are offices and commercial buildings level 2. There is a lot of them. There is even a good land value here, so if I want to push the land value a bit higher, I could use this area here, get a policy for parks and recreation, moderately increase the land value, and watch if this is going to lead to these areas leveling up as their land value goes up. Now, I don't think you can use the high-tech housing on offices and commercial areas, because it says right here smart homes, so that only works on areas that you have residential in. So are any of these going to level up? I mean, they are covered by this district in which I have just used that policy to increase the land value, but I don't think it increased it enough, as they are still all at level 2. They kinda are close to leveling up to level 3, but not close enough. I mean, there is good service coverage, but it's interesting when you look at it, you can't really see the color of the coverage on the buildings themselves. You can see the health of the teams that live in the residential areas, and you can see that the oh sorry, this is that care, but here the legend says health. The higher the color is, the better the coverage is. So I can definitely see that these buildings are well covered with death care and healthcare, but I can't see how well the offices are covered with these. I can tell by the efficiency on the road networks, but I can't see on the buildings themselves. When it comes to the crime, you can see the color on the building and see how well it is covered, and for the fire as well, but not the health. So what else could I do to level these guys up? Well, I could attempt to see what would happen if I were to place a hospital here. Oh, but I would need a lot of space for it. Let's see, how do I find enough space for a hospital here? I could move this a little bit over here, and I could rotate the park like this, and now I can place the hospital here. So let's see if they're going to level up to level 3 now. This one is operating, and I do hear some dinging, which means that somebody is leveling up. The residential area seems to be leveling up with the addition of a hospital, but I still do not see any leveling up by the offices and the commercial areas. I mean, they do say attract wealthier customers to allow the building to upgrade, so if my residential areas upgrade, then the commercial areas will upgrade with them, which makes sense, but I will still have the same problem. I will have more people living per buildings, and the buildings that they would find jobs at would be higher level and get a few more workers, so the balance would stay the same. I would still have more unemployed than employed. And the offices say covered by more services. What other service could I possibly cover you with? I don't know, maybe more bus stops. see, does that make an effect on them? Covered by more services. What other service could I possibly cover you with? I have metro stops. There's the red station and the blue station. There are bus stations. But still they require more services. I guess it's part of the hardness of the hard mode, but still, come on. I need you to go up to level 3. There's no way I can reduce the unemployment without them going to a higher level. Now, I'm not sure how bad does the unemployment end up with the happiness, and how much does it reduce it. Megalopolis, excellent. Monuments are unlocked and another area to be brought. Well, I guess this is another thing that will take some time to figure out. Just what do we have here? Fusion power plant, space elevator, Eden project, medical center, and the Hadron collider. For these, I think you need to first build up these, and that's something I will leave for much later on. Well, I think this is enough for this video. I have increased the population numbers, I have increased the amount of industry and commercial, even though I still have a high demand, and it's kind of hard to get more teams to move in until I actually get those new jobs for them to work at. These zones got destroyed when I added these roads. I just noticed this. Very annoying, but not something that can be fixed. In any event, like I said, I think this is enough for this episode. I will leave you, as I always try, with a nice view of the city. Thank you for watching, and please stay tuned for more.